Hello everyone and welcome back. You may have noticed that videos weren't going out for me for the last couple of weeks, and that is because I got sick, so I wasn't able to film. I was literally laying on the couch for almost a week, and that was all that I did. I feel like my life right now is a series of unfortunate events that all involve me not being able to film. But I am back on the mend now, and I am ready to bring you guys some more cases. Cases like today's case that has been unfolding over the last week or so. Sunday, March 27th of 2022, so just a couple weeks ago, a 37-year-old woman named Cassie Carli went missing. And she went missing from a small town in northern Florida called Navarre Beach. Cassie was the mother of a 4-year-old little girl named Sailor, and she was living with her father at the time of her disappearance. She had also just started a new job the day before her disappearance at the Eglin Air Force Base. So the night that Cassie went missing, she was supposed to be meeting up with her ex-boyfriend and Sailor's father, Marcus Spanavello. And they were supposed to be meeting up for a custody exchange of Sailor. According to Cassie's family, Cassie and Marcus had a toxic relationship that started around 2017 and ended when Cassie was pregnant with Sailor. The family also described Marcus as extremely manipulative, telling the story about how one time Marcus had taken Sailor and refused to return her, and after nearly 2 weeks and an emergency court order, Sailor was finally returned back to Cassie. And why did Marcus do this, you ask? Because he was over $10,000 behind in child support payments, and his driver's license was about to be suspended. Marcus was also known to have made dozens of CPS calls and police reports against Cassie, none of them going anywhere because there was absolutely no evidence. He seemed to kind of just be harassing her with these like CPS calls and police calls. And on top of all of that, Cassie's brother also said that Cassie one time told him that if something happens to her, it was Marcus. We've heard that time and time again in cases, and this is another one where the person said if something happened to them, it was this person. Now here's the thing, Cassie and Marcus did have joint custody. So Marcus had Sailor every other weekend, and then Cassie had her all the other times. That Sunday when Cassie went missing, Marcus's time with Sailor was up, and it was now Cassie's turn. This exchange of Sailor between Marcus and Cassie was a regular thing. But what was irregular that night that Cassie went missing was the location that Marcus asked Cassie to meet him at. Normally, they would meet up at a Walmart parking lot in Destin, Florida. But according to Cassie's sister Rayanne, Marcus had made the location change last second, but it was a location that was just down the road from where Cassie was living with her father. Around 7 p.m., Cassie told her father, I'll be right back. I'm just going to go meet up and get Sailor, and we're going to be meeting up at Juana's. And she left. Her father expected her to be right back because Juana's Grill was only a short distance from their home. It was only about a mile away. But nearly 3 hours would go by, and Cassie's father, Andrew, would wake up from his nap, and neither his daughter nor his granddaughter were home. So he tried calling Cassie multiple times. He even decided to try to text her around 9:40 p.m. He was worried because, again, Cassie was only supposed to be going a mile away. It does not take 3 hours to drive a mile and go back an hour. Maybe she could have stopped somewhere, like maybe got some groceries or something, but that still wouldn't account for 3 hours, especially when she said she was going to be right back. Cassie and Sailor should have been back. And then on top of that, Cassie does not answer any of the phone calls that her father makes to her. So Cassie's father is very worried. And as you can see with the text messages I'm going to have up on the screen, he said, "Cassie, I'm trying to call you. What's going on?" And then he sent her another message saying, "I'm freaking out, Cass. Call me as soon as you get this message." Now, what's really odd about this is Andrew ended up getting a response from his daughter's phone, although the family does not believe this was actually Cassie. And this response said, "I'm sorry, car was acting up. I broke my phone. Marcus is working on it. I will stay at his place tonight. He is paying me money to do some stuff around the house." Okay, like 10 red flags right there. Because according to Cassie's sister, Rayanne, Cassie felt very unsafe around Marcus. And in an interview, Rayanne said that Cassie would not have gotten in a vehicle with Marcus willingly. If her vehicle broke down or her phone broke or whatever, she would have walked to the gas station. They met up at a restaurant. She could have went inside and asked to use their phone to call her father to come pick her back up. According to Cassie's family, she would not have gotten in his vehicle with him. On top of that, Cassie's father would sometimes accompany her to these custody exchanges because she was so scared of Marcus. So if Cassie was so scared of him that she had her father come along, that she told multiple people that she felt unsafe around him, she told her brother that if anything happens to her, it was Marcus, why would she stay at his place? Cassie had only driven a mile to go do this exchange. So if something did happen to her vehicle, why couldn't he just drive her home? It wasn't like she was hours and hours away and it would be this big deal to like go out of Marcus's way to drive her back to her home. If Marcus wanted to be such a gentleman and help her out that night, why didn't he just drive her and Sailor the mile back to her father's place? Why would he go all the way out of his way? As you will learn, Marcus does not live nearby. Why would he drive her farther away? Now, on top of that, just to point it out, whose phone and car breaks at the exact same moment when you're driving a mile from your home? It's way too coincidental to me that her vehicle and phone break for pretty much no reason when she's a mile away from her home. A little too coincidental, if you ask me. So after that text message from Cassie saying all of that, her father asks if she's in PCB, which turns out to stand for Panama City Beach, which is the last known residence of Marcus. Because if she's going to be staying with Marcus, as far as everyone knows, it would be in Panama City Beach. But here's the thing. Apparently, Marcus works in the sound industry, so he actually travels around a lot. And he even converted a trailer into like these living quarters for himself. But when Andrew asks if she is in Panama City Beach, the response he gets back from Cassie's phone is no. And then she goes on about how her screen isn't working properly and how she was going to see if Marcus would help fix it, because Marcus is such a great person helping out his ex that he is in this very tumultuous, toxic relationship with, fixing her phone, fixing her vehicle, paying her to clean up his house, you know, letting her stay over. Like, wow, this Marcus fellow is such a great guy helping out his ex-girlfriend so much. But if Cassie isn't in Panama City Beach, where is she then? That would also be the last text that would come from Cassie's phone. After that text exchange, Cassie's father ends up falling asleep, and the next morning he wakes up, and of course, Cassie and Sailor are both not home still. So 4 p.m. that day, Cassie's dad ends up calling Cassie's sister Rayanne, and then from there, they end up reporting Cassie missing. By 11 a.m. on March 29th, Cassie's vehicle ends up being found near a boat ramp at the Juana Grill. So her vehicle never left the parking lot. Inside, they found a bunch of her belongings, including her purse, which is a giant red flag. Why would she have gotten out of her vehicle and left if her vehicle wasn't working without her purse? You don't just go and stay at someone else's place without your purse, without those kind of belongings, because what if you needed to go out and get food or whatnot? You know, you want to have your IDs on you. You don't just leave something like that behind. Now, strange enough, I found this one of the most interesting facts in this case. Someone ended up taking a photo of the sunset the night that Cassie went missing, and in this photo, you can see the Juana Grill's parking lot, and you can see Marcus's truck and the trailer there. Now, it looks like there's no other vehicles in the parking lot. I'm not too sure, but like clear as day, you can see Marcus's truck and trailer. And if you zoom in, you can actually see that the trailer door is open. Now, at this point in researching this case, I was wondering, where the hell is Sailor? What happened to her? If Cassie's missing, where is her daughter? Well, it turns out that Cassie's father ended up trying to call Marcus, but he wouldn't pick up his phone. He would only text Andrew, which is a huge red flag to me. Why aren't you answering your phone to have a conversation about your missing ex-girlfriend and the mother of your child? Why can you only send text messages? But to sum up Marcus's text, he was basically saying that Cassie was out of her mind that night, that she wanted to be dropped off in the middle of nowhere with Sailor. Can Marcus become any more stereotypical of a gaslighter or manipulator? Of course, that is just my opinion, but that is the vibe I'm getting here. Rayanne also attempted to text Marcus and call Marcus. They were trying to figure out where Sailor was and if Sailor was okay, and Rayanne ended up getting a response from Marcus about Sailor. Now, Marcus here in this text message ends up saying, Sailor is with me. She, and he's talking about Cassie in this situation, wanted to be dropped off in the middle of nowhere in Destin with Sailor. I told her I wouldn't let Sailor go like that, to give me an address and I'd take them to it. Yeah, cops already called me and might be calling me again with more questions. If they do, I will. Apparently, everybody will be asking me that, so I'll just copy and paste what I told your father. As I was just saying, gaslighting, manipulating, whatever. He was calling her crazy, saying that she wanted to be dropped off in this unknown destination with their daughter, and he wasn't going to let that happen, and blah, blah, blah. Cool. The plot will continue to thicken. March 30th, Sailor would end up being found with Marcus all the way in Birmingham, Alabama, which, if you look on the map, is about a 4-hour drive north of Navarre Beach. CPS ended up checking up on her, claiming that she was okay, and Marcus was also interrogated by authorities this day. Nothing has really come out about what was said during this interrogation. So, as the web sleuths do, they ended up digging up a post from Marcus's Facebook, and this was a post that Marcus made the day that Cassie went missing, just before Cassie actually went missing, of Sailor playing at the beach. And what people find odd about this post is that Marcus's mother, who lives in Brazil, commented saying, counting days and hours. So it's making people speculate that if Marcus was attempting to take Sailor out of the country, or if he was planning to, or still is, whatever. And I don't want to jump to conclusions. Maybe Marcus's mother was planning on coming to the US to visit with them in Sailor. But if it's the other way around, it doesn't seem like Cassie had any plans to take their daughter out of the country to Brazil. But the way the situation seemed, I highly doubt that Cassie would allow Marcus to take Sailor out of the country. And I bet her family would also say the same thing, but I'm just speculating here. This post is really strange. It's making people really question Marcus's intentions, and could it be a motivator possibly to what happened to Cassie or why Cassie went missing? Maybe Marcus wanted to take Sailor to the country. She said no, and it led into a fight. I don't really know, but it is an interesting theory. But due to everything that did happen above, Andrew Carli, who is Cassie's father, ended up filing an emergency petition to get Sailor back in the custody of Cassie's family. And this is all happening on the 30th. The next day, on March 31st, FBI announced along with the state that they'd be joining the search for Cassie. And at this time, Sailor was also taken into CPS custody in Alabama. A few days would go by, and on April 1st, so just a couple days ago as of filming this video, Marcus would be found and arrested on multiple charges all the way up in Lebanon, Tennessee. So this man is getting around, because I have mentioned him to be in 3 states already in this video. And Marcus is currently being charged with tampering with evidence, giving false information concerning a missing person, and destruction of evidence. He was also known to have been the only suspect and the prime suspect in Cassie's disappearance. Now, this is where things take a turn for the worst. On April 3rd, Cassie's body would be found, and it would be found while police were executing a search warrant in Springville, Alabama. Cassie would be found in a shallow grave in a barn, and it was identified by her tattoo. And it turns out that this barn that Cassie was found in is owned by Marcus's former boss. So things are not looking very good for Marcus. Authorities went on the news to announce that Cassie was found deceased. And you can tell that law enforcement is very passionate about figuring out what happened to Cassie. And you could tell that the officers during this press conference were pissed off, saying that Marcus has been acting like a dirtbag and that he never cooperated. Apparently, Marcus also isn't speaking to authorities. All he has said is that he wants a lawyer.
You say, will he waive extradition? You know, since we've been dealing with him, he's been acting like a dirtbag. I don't see that changing, so I'm sure there'll be an extradition process.
In regards to Sailor, it seems like she is currently still in the foster care system, and she's staying with what they say is a good family right now. But Cassie's family is still fighting to get Sailor back, because Sailor shouldn't be in the foster care system when she has blood family that is looking and willing to take care of her, and they want to take care of her and have her. So I'm sure once they go through all the processes that she'll be returned to Cassie's family. Regarding Cassie's cause of death, an autopsy is currently underway, and they're supposed to be having results on that very soon. But as I'm filming this video, there was nothing out yet. So I am, however, very interested in the results, because there are a couple facts in this case. I'm not really going to mention it because I don't know if they're relevant until we hear about what really happened to Cassie. Then I will bring them up. I am also extremely curious what the motivation would have been for Marcus to kill Cassie. Like, why did he kill his ex-girlfriend and the mother of his child? I mean, we've seen it time and time again. There's not always a rational explanation to things like this, and there normally isn't. And whatever the reason is, it will not be good enough. It could be everything from his back to child support to wanting one last way to control her. So what do you guys think about this case? And what do you think the motivation for all of this was? Let's have a big chat about it down below. And when that autopsy comes out, I'm going to get a video up for you guys and we'll have a chat about that. But for now, these are the major facts of this case. I'm glad to be back and I'm glad to be healthy again so that I can bring you guys these cases. My next video is going to be about a missing child, so buckle up for that one. And if you want to help support me, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up. It really does help, and it helps me be able to spend more time on these videos and this channel and bring you guys more cases and help spread the word about these cases. So with that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Please keep Cassie and her family in your minds, and I will see you guys in the next case.